Locho sampo pa gyo trashi pa Toche tempe chinle yarngo da Pege drolo tampe tse parache Palden lame shabla solvate Om Guru Vajrada Suma Timu Nisha Sanekar Uta Varda Nishrib Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajrada Suma Timu Nisha Sanekar Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karm Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarvas Om Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dagi Jetsun Lama Ya Toche Che Nyamda Dala Toche Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sungi Nawa Tsedo Sol Tsechi Nyingne Sowa Debe Tse Dechen Korlo Viso Lekshune Yila Sambe Dede Malupa Gemel Hungi Drubra Jingilo Sonye sodan dikdun shape tse dunge namge yinsu lekshune labchen sonye yonsu zobadan chera nye dun chanwara jingilo chancho pargi nyinsen tugun to nye peme siudru lekshune chancho drube gegen kunshishi tungen dela drubra jingilo Dagi lona chola chopadan chemi samchor ngemba shiwadan chodan tumbe dudu malupa bemel hungi drubra jingilo dorna tingne tsira tamchedan teche pardu nekab tamcheto rese kyamne lama keleme tukche chingi dala siksoso Gongkyab drewe nyamda dachala chetsun lame tuje rab gongne Kudan sungi nawa drame tu nyamsu nyuwe kesan tobrasho Kewa kundu yanda lama dan drame cheki pela longche chi Sadan lamge yunde rab zone dorje changi koba nyuruto vesho Pakyuke kudan da gelo, pakyuke sundan da genga, pakyuke tukdan da geyi, ten yerme chintu jingelo. Makyuke kudan da gelo, makyuke sundan da genga, makyuke tukdan da geyi, ten yerme chintu jingelo. Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Svoha Sangye Chedan Tsoki Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparshu Sangye chedan tsogi chonamla chancho bardo dani kyapsochi dagi jinso gibe sonamgi drola pinchira sangye druparshu Sangye chedan tsogi chonamla chancho bardo dani kyapsochi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonamgi Drola Pinchre Sange Druparsho. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, these last days, 3 days, we were also seeing and talking about the process of death and why to meditate on the process of death, bardo, and rebirth. What's the need for that? And we did the whole introduction, we did the explanation, and so on. And we saw mainly the first part of the process of death, which is the gross part of the process of death. And one important thing just to remember is that when we talk about the process of death, there are different reasons why we need to understand it and study. One of them is because sooner or later we are going to die. And it's important for us at least to know what is going to happen. No? To understand how that's going to be, to understand what is going to happen. That's something that is important for us. On the other side, as we were saying the other day, whenever we go to sleep, if we didn't have the consciousness that after sleeping we wake up, we would be very afraid to go to sleep. Similarly, if we have a consciousness that after death there is continuity, then we are not so afraid of dying. Okay? So one of the points also of understanding the whole process of death is also at the same time developing a deep, strong identity of ourselves in that goes beyond, that transcends those things that are only of this life. To have an identity of ourselves that transcends this body, the material things that we have, the position, the relations, and all of these things, no? The things that are only of this life. Okay, so this is just to remember a little bit where we were, where we came from, the reason why we look at all of this, okay? So, questo per dire è il minimo che dobbiamo fare, è la base che dobbiamo fare. Poi ci sono altri mezzi anche per prepararci e tutto il resto, no? Okay. So yesterday, we have seen very shortly in the day before yesterday, more in details, we have seen the process of death. And as we were seeing the process of death, we also saw actually that the process of death is divided into 2 parts, which we may call the gross death and the subtle death. And the altogether it's made out of 8 phases, 8 parts. So the 4 parts of the gross process of death, 4 parts of the subtle process of death. The 4 parts of the gross process of death is earth dissolving into water, water into fire, fire into wind, wind into the consciousness of space, which we also call the 4 visions. We have the mirage-like vision, the smoke-like vision, the fireflies-like vision, and the flame-like vision. So these are the 4 visions which determines our gross death. These 4 steps which determines our gross death. We start from losing our eyesight and the strength of the body, and we'd end up by not being able to move anymore and not being able to breathe at all. Okay? So this is when normally a person is declared dead. Is actually when the wind dissolves into the consciousness of space, into the space of consciousness. That's normally when the heart stops beating and there is no more breathing, and so on. So, this is the first part of death, and also at this moment when wind dissolves into the space of consciousness, there is also the dissolution of our gross mind, which is, resumed in what are called the 80 gross mental concepts. Okay? Summarized within the 80 gross mental factors also. So this 80, which in Tibetan is called Kundok Gechu. Okay? So it's like some gross mental aspects. And basically, some people that have near-death experiences, they tell about seeing the whole movie of their life passing in front of their eyes. This basically would be this moment when the gross mind is dissolving. So when the gross mind starts to dissolve, all the experiences we have had during this life, of memories and thoughts, and all this comes by again, It's similar to when, for example, we have a candle, for example, like a butter lamp, and when the candle starts on its end, it remains only how do you say? Yeah, I know the wick, but it remains the wick, but it remains only in the wick. The wax remains only wax in the wick. Then, when the wax around is no more and only is in the wick, what happens? The fire becomes bigger, and then after, it ends. Okay? Similar to that, when the gross mind starts to dissolve, each aspect of the gross mind will come and go. Come and go. So we experience one after the other all the aspects of our gross mind related to attachment, related to aversion, related to indifference, ignorance, and so on. So, the more during our lifetime we're able to deal with all these aspects, the better our experience during death will be. So, in a way, actually we experience, in a summarized version, all the thoughts and experiences of this life at the moment of death also. Positive and negative. No? So, basically at that moment, there is no much judgment if it's good or if it's bad and so on. It's simply everything passing by. One thought after the other. And this is when the gross mind dissolves into the subtle mind. And it's basically when what happens is that technically we call the 80 mental factors dissolves into the white vision. So, after this, we have the gross death is finished. We have no more gross mind, no more gross body functions, and so on. But we still have a subtle mind and a subtle body. Okay? The subtle body is made basically by our channels, winds, and drops. So we have the subtle energy winds, which are still moving inside our body. They're all going to the heart, but they are still there moving. Then we have the channels, which are there. And we have the drops, which is basically the main drop is our male and female energy. Okay? So, at this point, we start with what is called the subtle process of death. The subtle process of death is divided into 4 steps, which are 4 phases, which are called the white vision, the red vision, the black vision, and clear light. Another name that is given to it to be a more precise translation, we call the white appearance, Nawa Karlampa, Cheba Marlampa, the red diffusion, Niertop Naglampa. Niertop, there is different ways of translating. One is the total darkness of the black vision, the total black darkness, or the other way that is translated also is the near realization black vision. Okay? Because Niertop can be translated as darkness and also can be translated as near realization, something like that. And then there is the clear light of death, Shiva Vessel. So we have Nawa Karlampa, Cheba Marlampa, Niertop Naglampa, Shiva Vessel. So, we have the white appearance, the red diffusion, the black darkness, and the clear light of death. Okay? So what happens during this process? Basically, in our body, we have a central channel, which goes from the crown, from the forehead, down to our central channel, until it reaches more or less around 4 fingers below the navel. Then we have a right and a left channels, these 2 side channels, which goes from the 2 nostrils around nearby the central channel until they enter inside the central channel. 4 fingers below the navel. What happened is that at certain points of our body, which are called the chakras, the right and the left channel, they go around the central channel and then they continue from the same way. It's like if this is the central channel, it's going around and going here. And it's going, like I have here the central channel, the right channel will go around and continue. Then the left channel will go around and continue from the same side. So it's not a real knot. It's like, how do you say, like twisting around somehow. But the problem is the following. During our life, we mostly use the right and the left channel. We never use the central channel. Because when we use the central channel for our thoughts and emotions and so on, it's a much deeper level of consciousness. So we mostly never use it. Our gross mind functions mostly at using the right and the left channel. So the right and the left channel become very strong. The central channel becomes weak. So they become so strong that they strangle. They tighten up. And there is no more way to pass energy through the central channel. So we have 1 knot at the crown, 1 knot at the throat, 6 knots at the heart, 1 knot at the navel, and 1 knot at the sacral chakra. Some texts say that at the heart there are 2 knots. Some texts talk about 6 knots. I think generally it's more or less the same. The important thing is there is 1 knot above and 1 knot below. But basically the main knots are in the heart, okay? Like in this text that I have here, explaining the whole process of that, is talking about 6 knots at the heart chakra, okay? So what happened is the following. As our subtle process of death starts, the subtle winds, they all start to enter into the central channel from above, okay? From the entrance in the forehead. They enter from there, and they get out of the right, they start not moving anymore into the right and left channel. They go out and they enter through the central channel. So the right and left channel become weaker, and the wind forcing through the central channel loosen the knots, and the energy can flow inside the central channel. So the winds go to the central channel to absorb in our heart. At that point, the white bodhicitta, which is the male energy that we receive from our father, that is mainly in our crown chakra, it descends. The knot that is in the crown unfolds, it's untighted. Then the right bodhicitta can go down. Then the knot that is in the throat is also untighted, and the right bodhicitta go down until it reaches the heart. Then the winds go from the right and left channel inside the central channel from below. And again, the knots in the sacral chakra and the navel chakra are untighted. And the red bodhicitta, which is of the nature of fire, goes up from the navel, from between the sacral and the navel chakra. It goes up until it reaches the heart. When the white bodhicitta goes down until it reaches our heart, is what we call the white vision, the white appearance vision. And this is the moment also when our subtle mind related to male energy of aversion, it's dissolved. Then, when the red bodhicitta flows upwards from the sacral chakra up to the heart, is when we experience the second vision, which is the red vision. And during the red vision, also the female energy of attraction, the subtle mind, is dissolved also. At this point, all the winds find themselves in our heart, but there are still the 2 knots. So they are forced from above and they force from below, the winds. And by making this force, the knots in our heart get unloosened. And the white bodhicitta goes to the heart, the red bodhicitta goes to the heart. And inside the heart, inside these knots, is what is called, which is in the center of the heart chakra, it is what we call the indestructible drop. The indestructible drop, basically, is the union of sperm and ovum in the moment of conception. Okay? Which is the essence of our body. of this gross body, where our very subtle body and mind are. So what happens is that normally when we are born, when the moment of conception is inside this indestructible drop, which is made of white and red bodhicitta, male and female energy, which is actually in which the very subtle body and mind are trapped. In the bardo we are totally free. Then in a certain moment, boom, we get trapped there. Okay, then we cannot move anymore out. So we get trapped inside this indestructible drop. It is called indestructible because it does not open until the moment of death during the whole lifetime. So, the indestructible drop is made out of two parts, a white part and a red part. White male energy, red female energy. Okay? So that is in the heart. In the moment that the knots are unloosened and untightened, and at the same time the white bodhicitta goes to the heart, the red bodhicitta goes to the heart, they both, how to say, avvolgono. They wrap around somehow. They wrap around. They go completely around the indestructible drop. Yeah, like they envelop. And at that moment is when the knots are unloosened and they envelop. That's when we experience what is called the black vision. Okay? The black vision is the moment when actually there is no more consciousness whatsoever. Okay? No more gross consciousness, no more subtle consciousness. At that moment, there is no very subtle consciousness, there is nothing. Simply total darkness. Boom. Then, from that point, what happens is that the white bodhicitta goes down, taking the cover of the indestructible drop, the upper part. The red bodhicitta absorbs into the lower part of the indestructible drop and take it upwards. So the indestructible drop is like if it turns around and then it opens. Okay? At that moment, the very subtle mind manifests. And it's when we experience the vision which is called the clear light. In the moment of clear light, it's actually when our very subtle body and mind manifests. Okay? This is something that in a common people, common experiences, will happen just for an instant. And we are totally unaware of what is going on. It's possible to remain in this state for long periods of meditation, like many great masters have done until today. Okay? Normally when this happens, the person have died, but in the region of the heart, it remains still warm for maybe 10, 15 days, 20 days, 1 month, many possibilities, okay? 1 week, 3 days, depends. Okay? So what happens is that at this moment, when the red and the white bodhicitta have turned around the indestructible drop, it has opened, we experience the fourth vision, which is called the clear light. Okay? The four visions have also a different name that you may find in some texts, but they are talking about exactly the same thing. Okay? So just to know the different names. We can call white vision, red vision, black vision, clear light. We can call it the white appearance, the red diffusion, the black darkness, and the clear light of death. Okay? And then there is also another name which is given, which is this empty, great empty, wait 1 minute. Tompa, Shinto Tompa, Tompa Chembo. I forgot that last one. I have here. It's called empty, very empty, great empty, and extremely, something like this now. 1 second, the way I have it here is not so difficult to find, huh? Ninguém Shinto Tomba. Tomba Chimbo. One second. Where it is? The one that I don't remember, I cannot find. Ingero gan sadrugele bana tedenen dawa yingi. Now I don't know what shit jaws. Tomba Chimbo. Tamche Tomba. Tomba, Shinto Tomba, Tomba Chimbo, Tamche Tomba. So, it is called empty, very empty, great empty, totally empty. Okay? Or completely empty. Or all empty. Okay? Which is basically is what we call white vision is called empty. The red vision is called very empty. The black vision is called great empty. And the white and the clear light is called completely empty. Okay? So we may find these names written in different places also. So we know that it's actually talking about the same thing. Basically, the important thing for us to understand here is that our gross mind starts to dissolve gradually, starts to loosen its power, and dissolves into the subtle mind. The subtle mind gradually manifests. Okay? And as the subtle mind manifests, it will follow the path that the gross mind has been given. That's why we say it's so important, the main state of mind that we have in the moment of death. If we die with a mind of anger, we will direct the subtle and the very subtle mind in a state of anger. That's why it's very important the state how we die. To die with a peaceful mind, to die with a mind connected with the Dharma. That's why it's important to take refuge. So like the minimum thing we can do, the basic thing we can do to prepare ourselves for death is always to be able to connect our mind with what is sacred at the moment of death. In order to do that, we need to be able to connect our mind with what is sacred whenever we have a difficulty during our lifetime. Like I know many people, normal people, practitioners, that have been telling me stories like one went into coma, the other one had an accident, and different experiences, or in many times in dreams, of taking refuge, doing Rinpoche's mantra, taking refuge at this moment. This is wonderful because this is showing that we are connecting the mind with the sacred, with the positive, in the difficult moment. If we do this during our lifetime, then we have no fears during our death. We are going to go in the right direction. Because if we are able to direct our mind positively at the moment of death, then we'll go sure in a good direction. Because what happens is that the subtle mind follows the gross mind, and the very subtle mind follows the subtle mind. That's why it's also possible to meditate at the moment of clear light in what is called the union of mother clear light and sun clear light. Mother clear light is the actual very subtle body and mind, manifested at the moment of death. Sun clear light, it's to use that state to meditate on the lack of inherent existence of the clear light itself. Okay? But the point is that, we will explain this in more details later, but the point is that how is possible to do this meditation? Before I die, with a gross mind, I meditate on emptiness. This will naturally direct my mind on the awareness of emptiness in my subtle mind. And then this will direct my very subtle mind to have the awareness of emptiness. Why? Because when the mind dissolves, it follows the direction of the gross mind. Okay? That's why it's very important the state of how our mind is in the moment of death. In order to develop a positive state in the moment of death, we must be able to develop positive states when we are alive. And we need to familiarize our mind with these states. So whenever there is a difficulty, whenever there is a conflict, anything like that, we must direct our mind positively. Because this is one of the trainings that we are giving to ourselves in order to prepare ourselves for our own death. Otherwise, death is not necessarily an easy moment. And then if we die with anger, or with attachment, or anything like that, it will be very harmful for us. So that's why it's important really to practice well, to prepare ourselves well during this time. What happens is that after clear light, the very subtle body and mind gets out of the body. Okay? If it gets out from the upper part of the body, like the crown or the eyes or the mouth and so on, it goes for a positive rebirth. If it gets out from the lower parts of the body, it goes for a lower type of rebirth. That's why normally when someone dies, we say, better not to touch the lower parts of the body. But still, what will determine the death, what will determine the rebirth is not what part of the body we touch, is the mind of the person in the moment of death, okay? So based on that, if happens that someone has died or is dying and by chance we touch the feet of the person or something, now we need to be worried, what's going to happen to him? I touch his feet. Don't need to do that, okay? It's not like this. Generally speaking, it's better to touch the head. But it's not something that will determine everything. Not at all. Okay? So, at that moment, what happened is that we had this total darkness. From that, the subtle mind started to manifest in a very, very, very subtle manner. And then it goes out of the body. And automatically, as it goes out of the body, it reborns in the bardo. The rebirth in the bardo has exactly the opposite way of death, which means from clear light, go to black vision, red vision, white vision, wind, fire, earth, water, and earth. It goes exactly the opposite in the bardo itself. But it goes very quickly in the bardo. Okay? It's very similar. For us to understand better the bardo, we need to understand better our own dreaming state. For example, when we fall asleep, if we see the process of sleeping is divided into two parts. We have a gross process of sleeping, which is when we actually fall asleep, which is similar to the gross process of death. Our five senses stop functioning, we feel our body loose, and so on. And then there is a subtle part of the sleep, before we start dreaming. In Buddhism, we say that we finish the process of falling asleep when we start to dream. Okay? So the subtle part of the process of falling asleep is what we call also, there are the four visions: white vision, red vision, black vision, and clear light, also in the process of sleeping. What happens is, like, if we look from a modern scientific medical point of view, it talks that when we start dreaming, when we go to the REM state, REM state. And before we reach the REM state, there are four phases of our sleep. Okay, now I don't know technically this point of view. But similar to that, we also say in Buddhism that there are 4 phases of our sleep before we actually start dreaming. Which is a way like our gross mind starts to dissolve more and more and more and more and loose, and we go to a more deeper state of consciousness. Then we have black vision, nothing. Then the more subtle mind starts to manifest, and then from that we are reborn once again, black vision, and we go back, and we are reborn into the dream state. When we start dreaming, when we are reborn into a dream state, when we wake up in a dream, because that's the sensation, no? We fall asleep and suddenly we wake up in a dream. Is it gradual process or is in one instant? Instantaneous, no? I am here and suddenly I am a king or whatever somewhere, and I am flying or I am a turtle in the ocean. I don't know, We can dream in so many ways. My point is that when the dream starts, it is spontaneous. Do we have a body in a dream or not? Yes, we do have the body of the dream. In Tibetan it's called yilu, which means the mental body. Mind body, the mental body. In a dream, we have our body in the dream. Is the body of the dream the same of our physical body? No. Okay, we can have similar, but still it's not the same. In a dream, can we see? Can we listen? Can we touch? Can we smell? Can we taste? Yes. Okay? Are we really seeing and really listening and really touching physical things in our sleep, in our dream? No. Not really. Our experience is as if it's real reality, or our experience is just something, that's a dream. If I am having a nightmare, do I get afraid? Do I really experience that or not? Yes. For me, it's reality. Okay? Bardo is exactly like that. The dream state, is it a place where I go or is it a creation of my mind? It's a creation of my mind. Same thing happens for the bardo. Okay? If the bardo is going to be good or if the bardo is going to be bad, it depends on our own mind, on our own projection. What happens if during the dream I know that I am dreaming? I can take the demon that is coming to me, or someone that is coming, the monster that is coming to attack me, and I go and I do like this, and the monster becomes a butterfly. This is, if I know that I am dreaming, I can do anything I want. I can start flying. I can do anything I want if I know that I am dreaming. Okay, and if I am really aware of it. In the same way, in the bardo, if we know that we are in the bardo, we can fly, we can go to the Pure Lands, we can come back because we have no distance barriers. It's said that if we are in the bardo and we are really aware of the bardo and we are aware of our state, with consciousness, we can go to Tushita, we can go to Sukhavati, we can go to this Pure Land here and there, and then we choose where we want to be reborn. Okay? This is having awareness. Similar to that, in our dream state, when we are aware of our dream, we can choose what we want to do in the dream. So, to understand better the bardo, just understand better the dream state. And then from that we will understand the bardo. But the bardo can be something very pleasurable, or it can be something very horrible, just like a dream. So the training that we must develop is to train to be aware during our dream. If we learn to be aware during our dream state, and to direct our mind positively during our dream state, this will help us a lot to direct ourselves during the state of the bardo. But in the same manner, as I said before, if during our lifetime we familiarize ourselves with virtue, with our guru, with taking refuge, with Buddha, and with the protectors, and so on, and we do this during our dream. I know people that during the dream they get a nightmare, then they start doing Om Tara Tara Tara, so inside the dream, That's wonderful, because this means that the more we are able to do that, the more we assure ourselves that we will do this also during the bardo. And this can direct ourselves very well. Another similar aspect. In one night, normally we have only one dream or more than one dream? More than one dream. Okay? Similarly, before we get an actual rebirth, before we wake up again in a gross body, okay, we can have up to 7 states of the bardo, which is like having 7 dreams in a night. Okay? Each dream, each bardo, can last until 7 of our days. That's why we say the bardo can last until 49 days. Not necessarily we need to have 7 bardos. We can have only 1. It can be very fast. The maximum is 7. When we go from one dream to the other, is it the same existence or is it a different existence the next dream? It's a different existence. But how fast do we go from one dream to the other? We are not aware of any process happening, right? Similarly, in the bardo, we die in the bardo. Earth dissolves into water, water into fire, fire into wind, wind into consciousness, white, red, black, clear light. Then clear light, black vision, red vision, white vision, wind, fire, water, earth. But because we don't have a gross body, all this goes very fast. So this can happen up to 7 times during the bardo. Okay? Similarly, in one night, we can dream more than once. And we go from one dream to the other, up to the moment where we wake up. Waking up is exactly as the process of rebirth. When we wake up, which is our first sense that we feel? For example, when we wake up that we are on a very deep sleep, no? And we wake up. What's the first thing that we feel? Touch. We start moving the body, no? We are there still in the bed, and we start moving. And then what we feel after that? I feel probably the taste in the mouth. I need to wash my teeth, no? And then we can feel the smell. Then we start listening. First the sound is far away, then it starts to become more clear, and then we open our eyes. It's exactly the opposite process of death. And the opposite process of falling asleep. Okay? I have never fainted, but people that faint, they say that it happens exactly in the same way on both sides also. Okay? So, I think understanding this relation between sleep and death, dream and bardo, and waking up and rebirth, we can understand much more clear the process of death, bardo, and rebirth. And it becomes more easy for us. Otherwise, normally, the bardo looks like something so far away, so, fearful in the same way. If we understand that it's like a dream state, we can see that actually it's not so fearful. First thing. Second thing, if we're able to familiarize our mind with virtue, we will do that also during our death, and then we will do that during the bardo. And the third thing is that if we are able to be aware of our dreaming state, this is the best way to prepare ourselves to be aware during our process of bardo also. Okay? So this is more or less the conclusion, like when we talk about the subtle process of the death. Please. Which aspects, for example? I think that this experience is like seeing people that we met before and so on. All this, they come from the part of the dissolution of the gross mind. So it's like strong experiences of attraction and that we have and so on. So we go through these experiences again. No? So this is basically what happened. Having a vision of seeing light, we could say that is the beginning of the white vision. But actually, it's the vision of a total white thing. This would be more or less the vision of white vision, basically. No? Which the death process has not yet ended, so it's possible to come back again from that. No? So, the point is that when there is near-death experience, and people, they say that they see people and so on, it's not because they have died, and then they have seen the people that are there, and then they will come back again. They haven't died yet. Once you are dead, you are dead. Finished. Once the indestructible drop has opened, no way back, So the point is that I believe that these are mostly like experiences. When the gross mind starts to dissolve, we go back through our attachments and so on, and our experiences, and that's why it's like the same way how we see the movie of the life. It can manifest for each one of us in a different way. For some people, it will manifest as the movie of the life. For other people, it will manifest as the different experiences they had in their life. And maybe because of a strong attachment towards someone and a strong expectation to meet this person after death and so on. These images can come to the mind at that moment also. No? And normally this vision of seeing like a white tunnel, a light in tunnel of light, from my perspective is basically the white vision. Okay? Which is the male bodhicitta descending. Okay? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Actually, there is no any specific explanation of how long each part of the process will last, because it depends very much on the state of the body of each person. It will depend on this. Some people, they are more sick, one type of sickness. So, for example, the earth element will start dissolving more fast, and so on. So this will depend very much on the state. Also because both the gross and the subtle death are totally related with our body also. So this depends very much on our health state, on the state of the body also. So they say that on a normal process of death, it may last until 3 days. But it can also go in 2 hours. It can also go in 10 minutes. It can also go in 1 day. There is no specific way to know, okay, when it started. There are some signs, for example, when it ends. What happens is that when the white bodhicitta goes down and the red bodhicitta goes up, there will be like a red substance that gets out of the nose and a white substance that gets out of the lower parts of the body. So this is a sign of that, okay, now it's finished. The death process is completed. So what we can see from external signs is when the gross process of death has finished and when the subtle process of death has finished. Within these processes, in which part the person is, in the gross part is easier. In the subtle part, there is no definition, and there is no also a specific timing for each one of the processes. This will depend from person to person. Okay? So, just to conclude, I would like to remember 2 points, which is the first of them, the fact that we, by meditating and by understanding the process of death, we actually should develop this deep identity of ourselves that goes beyond this life, which is very precious, very important. Because by developing this strong identity of our life, what happens is that this will help us to not to fear death anymore. Because in the same way, whenever we go to sleep, if we would be afraid of falling asleep because we would not have the awareness of the continuity from day to day, what would happen? We would be very afraid to go to sleep. Instead, because we know that we are going to wake up, at least we think that we are going to wake up, we are not afraid of going to sleep. The same thing happens during the process of our own death. If we know, if we are aware of the continuity from life to life after death, then we have no reason to be afraid of death itself. Another point is to make the connection between the state of the dream and the bardo. Then we can get more familiarized with this. It's more easy for us to understand and to deal with it. Familiarize our mind with what is sacred and pure, in order to train ourselves in the moment of our own bardo, to direct our mind positively, in the moment of our own death. Okay? So this is basically the main points that we need to learn, we need to prepare. And remember that whenever we go to sleep, we have the best opportunity to train ourselves. So observe the dissolution of the elements. To observe the dissolution of the elements when we go to sleep is not to say, okay, first earth dissolves into water. I will lose the eyesight, this and that. And then we try to look for it. No. If we do like this, we will never fall asleep because we tried thinking too much. We need to meditate before. During meditation, we remember the whole process of death. Then when we go to sleep, we simply observe. It's going to happen by itself. We don't need to force anything. The whole process of dissolution is going to happen by itself. We just need to observe it. We're there observing the process of death, not forcing it. We're observing the dissolution, not directing it. Okay? So by observing the dissolution, then we can feel it happening. Yes? Mm-hmm. The important thing is that by first doing it during meditation, it's not aware of understanding, it's aware of feeling. It's a different level. It's not, we should not be aware only by, it's not saying, okay, this is happening. If we do in that way, then it will be very difficult to sleep. Instead, it's like having, it's more from the heart, it's more from a more subtle way of perception. It's having, it's difficult to put into words, but it's in a non-conceptual awareness. Okay? Which is just having the experience of each one of the processes. It's living the experiences in a non-dual way. It's not separated. The awareness should not be detached from the experience itself. It should not be like looking at our own process from outside. It should be experiencing the process with awareness. It's a different way. Because if we still look at the process as if we are looking from outside, then we're not going to fall asleep. Instead, it's like I'm experiencing what I am living at this right moment. It's like feeling what is happening. It's like when we feel pain, it's not like thinking about the pain, it's feeling the pain. When we feel that our eyes are closing and so on, it's not thinking about that, it's feeling that happening, basically. Okay? So, yes, the point is that Daphne was saying, okay, but if I do not remember my previous life, that's why I get afraid of dying, because I lose, it's like two different lives, no? The point is that it's not true that we don't remember. We remember so many things from previous lives. We don't remember the gross level. We don't remember everything that was in our gross mind, we don't remember. So the places, the name, the situation, all of this that was in a conceptual level in our gross mind, we don't remember. But all the imprints that were through our very subtle mind, we do remember. Since we were born, there are many qualities and aspects of our mind that we have today that we are like this since we were born, if we look inside each one of us. When we are born with character, with imprints. There are many things that come to ourselves very spontaneously that are actually coming from other lives. We are not aware that it's coming from other lives, but actually it is. So there is a memory. We simply don't know. It's like, oh, I know this, I don't know from where. It is coming from somewhere, so there is a memory of other lives. It's not that there is no memory at all. It's not that we erase everything and start again in the next life. Not at all. We have so much that we take from life to life. What we don't take is the gross mind. The gross mind completely goes away. The imprints of the gross mind continue. So, for example, a person that kills a lot, in the next life will be reborn with the instinct to kill. A person that kills himself, that dies with a suicide, will be reborn with the instinct of suicide. Okay? And so on, because it's a very strong, to take away one's own life, it's a very strong imprint. So we are reborn with that memory, which appears as an instinct. Please, the killer. It's there. Yes, the instinct is a memory. Okay? So, there is also memory. Anyhow, we are going to have more days to talk about all of this. Okay? So, now we will go for lunch. We will stop here. And actually, today we have the lunch which is offered to us by Lama Lawang. And he's doing that in order to make a fundraising for his monastery. There is this monastery in Nepal, the Sergyu monastery. They need to rebuild their temple. So because of that, he's making a fundraising for that. So he will come personally, from person to person, to receive the donation from everyone. And then there is also a lottery that Anouk is selling of €2 each, also to help his monastery. Okay? So this is all. Jetson lame kutse rapten chi namkar chinle chochur gepadang losan tempe drume sasungi drove munse tato ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshing ninsen takto delekpe Concho sumge jing Concho sumge ngodrutsom Concho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.